For nearly 2 centuries, every photograph carried the same invisible promise. Whatever else it might be, beautiful or ugly, truthful or deceptive, documentary or fiction, it began with a world standing in front of a camera. Someone stood there. Light reflected from that person. The camera recorded what existed. Even cinema's greatest illusions depended on that agreement. Sets could be built, actors could lie, entire worlds could be fabricated, but somewhere behind every frame, there was still something the camera had actually seen. That quiet agreement shaped almost everything we believed about images. Not because photographs were incapable of deception, they always were. A photograph could be staged, it could be cropped, it could be manipulated. But even the lie depended on something having stood before the lens. The camera always needed a world. That is no longer true. For the first time since photography was invented, images no longer require an event. Nothing has to stand before a lens. No light has to strike a sensor. No actor has to enter a room. The image emerges instead from a statistical model, from probability, from a latent space built from countless earlier images. This is more than another technical innovation. It is a break in the history of representation itself. Because once the camera no longer requires the world, every question changes. The question is no longer whether these images are real. That debate is already too small. The real question is much stranger. What kind of image is this? What kind of cinema becomes possible when recording is no longer the foundation of filmmaking? Photography remembered what had happened. The synthetic image manifests something that never happened at all. Not fantasy in the ordinary sense, not animation, not visual effects, a different category altogether. An image that arrives through generation rather than registration. And that means the theories we inherited from photography are no longer sufficient. For more than a century, film theory asked what happened between the world and the camera. Now we have to ask something else. What happens when the camera is no longer the beginning of the image? That is the break. Everything that follows begins there.
For thousands of years, images were tied to events. A painting began with a hand. A sculpture began with stone. A photograph began with light. A film began with a world standing before a camera. The synthetic image breaks that chain. It does not remember an event. It computes one. It doesn't recover the past. It constructs a possibility. That single change forces us to rethink almost everything we believed about cinema.